Interesting, in John chapter 16, Jesus is talking about belief. I think we live in a very skeptical, cynical sort of age, and there are many people who think, well, you know, if people want to believe, that's up to them, but really it's just a crutch for the weak. It's, you know, it'll keep you going, but you're fooling yourself. Is Christianity just that? And actually, as Christians, of course, we believe, no. There is tremendous evidence that Jesus lived, that he died, he was buried, he rose from the dead, he's ascended, he's gone to heaven, and he does send his Holy Spirit, the personal power of God himself, to be with those who trust him. So God is a very present help in times of trouble as well as in good times. Now, one has to say, though, if I had broken a leg and I went for surgery or whatever, and eventually they put a cast on me and gave me a crutch, I wouldn't be embarrassed about using it. I'd be very grateful to use it. And there is a sense in which, of course, as human beings, we are weak. We all know that we've done wrong. We face the problem of sin, the breaking of God's commandments, not being the people that we ought to be, not loving God as we should, not loving others as we should. So we're all guilty of sin. We also face the problem of frailty. You know, our bodies grow old. Sometimes they become sick. One day we are going to die. And I don't know any other answer to these two big questions, the problems of sin and death, outside of Jesus. Who else can forgive? Who else can transform a life? Who else can take us through life's journey and then eventually take us through death to be with himself? John Wesley was a great preacher of, 300 years ago. In fact, he probably changed the course of British history. Thousands and thousands of people were converted to Christ through listening to John Wesley. He once said about those who trusted Jesus Christ, he said, "Our people die well." Now, that's an interesting phrase, the idea of dying well. But it's the concept that God who is says, look, I'll draw alongside people and I'll be with them forever. As well, you know, one of the most comforting things that Jesus said, I find tremendous encouragement in this, is that he said, I came not to call the righteous, but I came to call sinners. And every time I read that, I want to, as it were, like a child, put up my hand and say, I qualify. And I don't mean it in a flippant way, because I do qualify. I am not the person that I want to be, certainly not the person that God intended each human being to be. I'm not like that. And yet, if Jesus came to people who have messed up, then there's hope for me or for anybody. And of course, Jesus went to a cross and actually carried all my sin, my guilt on himself on the cross. And then he rose from the dead and he says, look, I'll come alongside you. I will forgive you. I will help you. I'll strengthen you. I'll give you a new power, a new dynamism to start to live the way that you should. So is Christianity a crutch for the weak? Well, in one sense, yes. But we're not fooling ourselves. There is reality. There is tremendous historical evidence that substantiates, is the sort of foundation of Christian belief. Evidence that Jesus really did live and die and rise from the dead. And that risen Jesus says, look, I'll be with you. And that can be experienced. It can be felt. It can be substantial. It can be something that means everything to us.